Today, we saw the NASDAQ breaking out of multiple day highs right before tomorrow's CPI report. And we're also going to talk about, has Trump decided on Jay Powell's replacement? And what does this mean for stocks moving forward? Now, if we come over and look at how the indices fared across the board today, the Dow was up 105 points. The NASDAQ was up 123 points. S&P 500 up 32 points, with the Russell 2000 being up 1.16. When we come over and we look at advancing issues versus declining, we had 63.3% of issues advancing on the day. Then we come over and look at the sectors across the board. Really, only 3 sectors were in the red: industrials, financials, and consumer defensives. Now, if you remember right, yesterday we also saw financials in the red. And if we look over here for the week, we can see financials just barely in the green. So if we come over real quick and we take a look at XLF, XLF basically has this consolidation, and is it getting ready to break out? Keep in mind, tomorrow we have a major news announcement. And if we come over and we look right here, inflation might start to rise again due to tariffs. May's CPI report is in Wall Street's crosshairs. Now, if we come over and we look, I want to remind you guys of a couple things real quick. We look at the CPI report. We can see that in March, we had a very favorable reading. We actually had a negative print on the CPI report, but then coming in April, we saw that bump up once again. Now, I want to remind you guys, regardless of what we see coming out tomorrow, which we will talk about this tomorrow on the live stream, and if you don't want to miss the next time I go live, make sure you subscribe. You have the bell notifications turned on for all. Today, we gave away a 50K take profit trader account. But when we scroll down here, I want you guys to be mindful of something real quick. I talk about this almost every month when we have the CPI report, and that is the CPI report is prone to sampling error. And that may be why a lot of people call it the CP lie. Let me know in the comment section down below. Is it the CPI or the CP lie report? Now, this morning on the live stream, it was brutal. If you look at the Dow, nothing more than a chop fest all morning long. And why was that? Well, very simple. Futures rise as markets await outcome from U.S.-China trade talks. And if we look at what the Wall Street Journal has to say, stock market today, Lutnick says U.S.-China talks going well. S&P closes higher. Now, what are they going to say? Nope, everything fell apart. China's too difficult. We cannot work anything out. No, we know Orange Man wants to come out and say, we have a big, beautiful plan to go ahead and tackle the tariffs. Now, we did see late in the day, we saw the market starting to come back up. You take a look at the NASDAQ, for instance. NASDAQ today was able to push on up. We had a nice manipulation bar right here, right before lunch. Whoop, came right back up. And then we actually had an A to B equals C to D pattern. Here's the A to B leg. The B to C leg was a corrective leg. And notice we have not completely hit the target for that ABC pattern, which will come in at 22,009. So let's talk about this. Is Jay Powell's job secure? Because right here, we can see Bissett emerging as contender to succeed Fred Powell. Now, Trump has already came out and said, hey, the White House says we have not made any decision yet. And that is because Bissett is over there negotiating with China. So they want to make sure, China wants to make sure that the person they're negotiating with is not just getting ready to leave. I think that would weaken the U.S. stance. Now, with that being said, if Bissett does end up being Jay Powell's successor, how is that going to affect the Fed watch tool? How is that going to affect interest rates? Right now, we can see that in September, they're still pricing in the next rate cut. And if we look, we only have 7 days left until the next FOMC meeting next Wednesday. It's going to be interesting to see, does Jay Powell get asked the question about his potential replacement? Now, if we come over and look at the dollar index, still hovering right down towards that weekly zone. Now, if you look at this on a weekly chart, we can see right here, this hammer candle body down to the candle wick is how I drew out that level. We look over here on the daily chart and we're spending a whole lot of time down and around this area. Now, with the dollar where it is basically flat on the day, we come over and look at the precious metal gold. Gold is still holding this upper trend line. We broke above it. We've come down to test it, and so far it's still holding up. However, for how long? You can see we have a doji candle today, and I do think gold is likely going to have a big move out there tomorrow once the CPI report is released. If it comes out and showing inflation is rising, watch for gold to start making its move back up towards all-time highs. If it comes in and shows that inflation is actually coming down, then we can see gold maybe get back into this channel and maybe start to work its way all the way to the other end of the channel. We come over and look at the volatility index today. The VIX was down 22 cents. You can see it keeps getting lower and lower and lower. The VIX right now closed at 16.93. And again, the lower the VIX goes, the more the ranges are going to continue to contract. And again, that is not good for us day traders. I do want to make you guys aware of 3 amazing prop firm deals out there. Apex Trader Funding, 80% off all evaluation accounts. My Funded Futures, new users, 50% off. Existing users, 25% off. Evals and resets. Use promo code Mike. And Take Profit Trader, 30% off all their evaluations and no activation fee. With Take Profit Trader, however, you have to use a different promo code, which is code Epitome. Now, to take advantage of these offers, use the links in the description box down below. So if we come over and look at the Qs real quick on the daily chart, you can see we're basically have a rising wedge. And let me draw this out for you guys real quick. You can see it just like this. Now, you may think, Mike, this is bullish, right? No, it's not. A rising wedge is actually a bearish pattern. Now, does it mean that we cannot go ahead and have a false breakup, hit all-time highs before we come down? No, it doesn't mean that. And if we look right up here from all-time highs down to the high of today, we can see we're roughly just over 1% away from making another new all-time high. Now, we come over and look at the 4-hour chart. MACD indicator just basically flatlined out here. On the 30-minute chart, you can see we had that nice push on the way up. You can see today we broke below the low of yesterday and we made it above the high of yesterday as well. So what is tomorrow? So what's going to be in store tomorrow? Are we going to have another gap in this market? And real quick, speaking of gaps, before we look at the futures markets, come over real quick. Look at the Russell 2000. We had 1, 2, 3 gaps. I was really anticipating today's gap being filled. We have 3 consecutive gaps which have not been filled at this point in time. Now, if we come over real quick and we take a look at the futures markets, let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ pushed up, made it above these wicks last night, and then again, broke above the overnight high. You can see we have this high volume node right up here, kind of holding us up for the time being. If we can break above that area, we're probably going to see the NASDAQ continue to grind on up. Now we come over and look at the daily profiles on the 30-minute chart. Notice we came all the way back up, closing near the high of the session. Now today on the live stream this morning, I talked about this whole area of the profile. Now it's hard for you guys to see since we've kind of traded in this area, but on this area, it was very thin. I said, do not be surprised if the market makes it back up there. Now we did, and we were closing at those areas. Also notice we are closing above value area high, which comes in at 21,927.5. Whenever we close outside of value, expect the next 1 to 2 trading sessions, we're going to come back and visit that. So could that be as early as tomorrow with the CPI report coming out? And if we break below that, watch out for the point of control, 21,874.50. And then all the way down here towards value area low at 21,813.5. Now these 2 white lines right here, notice that was a 15-minute opening range. We spent a majority of the morning all in this range. We just simply couldn't push out. Now, if we come over and look at the SPY real quick, you can see the SPY kind of riding this rising trend line. MACD indicator is still flatlined out here. Then we come over and look at the 4-hour chart. MACD indicator is still flatlined. You can see that trend line we keep having multiple touches on. Then on the 30-minute chart, you can see today we did not make it quite past yesterday's low like we saw with the NASDAQ. Then we're able to come all the way back up above the high. Now notice we are closing above value area high, which highly probable that tomorrow sometime we will come back in at minimum visit value area high. We get below that, watch out for the point of control, watch out for value area low, and let's not forget we still have this little structure area right down here. I want to see if we can come back and test 597.62 down to about 596.79. If we break below that price point, watch for the market to come all the way down and potentially fill the gap. Now, if we come over and look at the S&P futures, notice today we're able to take out the high and we continue to make high. Here's a high, higher high, higher high, and higher high once again. So for the time being, the trend is still up. We right now are above last week's value area high, which also indicates the path of least resistance is currently higher. Coming over and look at the 30-minute volume profiles real quick, and let's take a look at this. You can see overnight, we were able to spike below yesterday's low. You can see last night, we had a big rip up in Asia, came all the way down, spiking below yesterday's low, and then we close up here near the highs of the session. Now, we do have value area highs sitting right up here at a price point of 6,039.5. We have the point of control, 6,026.50, with value area low being 6,017.50. So now, if we start coming back down below value area high, watch out, see if we can come down and test the point of control. If we break that, we're looking at value area low. Anything below that, I'm looking down here kind of towards the candle bodies to the candle wicks, something like this, to see if we can come all the way down there and retest that area. Once we break below that, then I'm really watching this minus development area from last Friday. Can we make it back down towards that price point or not? Now, if we come over real quick and we look at the economic calendar this week, we've had no major news on Monday, no major news on Tuesday. Tomorrow, we have the CPI data coming out. We have crude oil inventory numbers. Then at 101, we're going to have the 10-year bond auction. Thursday, let's not forget, we get more inflation data. We get the PPI data coming out along with the weekly unemployment claims. Now, if you'd like to learn how to monitor your drawdown with Take Profit Trader using Rhythmic, make sure to watch this next video right here.